The main thing about entrepreneurship to me is that I have freedom of what happens. Like tomorrow morning, nobody can wake up and tell me I'm done. No one can pressure me into doing things that make me feel uncomfortable. And I'm still able to prioritize my own life and what I need.
What is your experience of developing a career as a black man? Think about the decisions you make today and how it will affect your future. Never lose sight of your own potential.
So one of the issues I was having in the workplace is I couldn't build a 3, 4, 5 year plan because I knew I wasn't part of their 3, 4, 5 year plan.
Welcome to Barbershop Stories, a series of conversations about the lives of black men as they make their mark in the world, challenge the age-old narratives that society has placed on them, and pave the way for the astute and accomplished young black men and boys who follow. Come join the conversation.
All right then. Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing, guys?
What's going on, man?
Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah.
All blessed, man. All blessed.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, it's good to have everybody together again. I know I wasn't part of the first conversation, but good to see everybody here. Nice big group we got this morning. Well, it's afternoon now, isn't it? So obviously this afternoon, here all together to talk a little bit about our careers, what it's like as a black man, to develop a career. So guess I'll just get things started, just talking about me, what I do. So you guys, know me. I'm Tashan Smith. I am a operations manager. So I work for the Solicitors Regulation Authority. I've been there for around about 8 years now. It's been pretty much my entire career working customer services, and I'm responsible for all training and development across my department. So I report into the head of business unit for my organisation. So it's kind of like a in between senior management and kind of middle level management is what I do. So responsible for about 8 people. I don't know how we want to do. Do we all just want to kind of just talk about our experiences? What it's been like for us developing a career?
Yeah. So I'll just go on to say, my name is Peter, by the way. Peter Sawyers, one half of the Twin Peas, Twin Same Fitness. We're a fitness collective where we run personal training, group exercise, everything to do with fitness, basically. So that's what we do. I was just gonna say, let's talk about seen as leaders in the community, as black men. I think, like, in terms of the leadership, there is a positive element that gets exposed, but I think fortunate is that the negative output of black leadership gets overrun the most. So, for example, you see more from a roadman's perspective, you see that kind of narrative pushed a lot of the times into showcasing how we're seen as leaders in the community. But I think with things like this, it's going to help to establish there's another side of things as well, and there's other avenues to show leadership in a positive light or in a progressive light, other than the negative portrayal, basically the negative stereotype. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's so important that as well, because like I think all of us are going to do this and kind of bring things back to ourselves, draw from our own experiences. But like if I think of myself when I came into my place, thinking of leadership, I am probably the only black manager in my organization, and especially when you start looking a little bit more senior, there's nobody above me. So I think it's so important that we have those leaders from all these different places in those different ways, and you're seeing it, like, from you leading and doing your own fitness thing, leading and doing and seeing those different options that are available to people in it.
I think would help if we heard the timeline of how you got to your career, sort of like how you've got to where you've got and the barriers you've overcame and all the things you've seen might be insightful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start. So I have to admit, I'm very lucky when it comes to the ability that I've had to develop my career. So I think I spoke before that, like, how I think your race plays a big part in stuff, but also like class plays a big part in stuff. So I've been very lucky that when I was growing up, parents had a good job. My mum had gone to university, my dad had gone to university. So I had like that a very good grounding when it came to my career. And I was brought up as, you know, I was brought up as very much like traditionally middle class for me. I went to a private school.
Okay.
My dad was very, very keen that because of the experiences he'd had growing up, he was like, "Oh, you're going to this school. I don't care if like we have to pay." I managed to get a bursary there. Like it wasn't that we had bare money and they were paying grand there. Like the school funded a lot of it for me because I did well in the tests and that. So I had a good base. And then I went to university. I got a law degree from the University of Liverpool, and because there I had a decent, like I knew I wanted to do something law-like, but I didn't want to get into law as a career. Like I didn't want to be a solicitor or a barrister because I wanted a nice work-life balance. So I started out, I've been in customer services from I was about 15 years old. I started working at Starbucks when I was a kid. And again, as I always say, it helps, like my mum helped me get that job. So it's about having those connections and things like that sometimes too. So I started off at Starbucks. I worked there for a few years. And then I started off at the Solicitors Regulation Authority in the call centre. So just taking calls, speaking to people. But what I did when I was there, I was like, I applied myself. You know what I mean? Like, so when I went into it, I was like, okay, then, yeah, it's a call center job, but I'm going to work hard. So I'll be speaking to the managers and I'll go, you know, what kind of things are there out there? Help me understand how it is that I can develop. What options do I have to keep building through the organization? I understood quite quickly I liked all the training stuff and I liked supporting and helping people. So they helped me with the training and all of that. And then from them helped me with doing training. That then meant when other opportunities became available, like a job, like a team leader job or something like that, I'd had experiences that helped me show whoever was interviewing me, go, oh, these are it helped me say, this is what I can deliver, this is what I can offer. So because I had lots of support from managers and things like that as I was moving through, but I was showing them that I was willing to work hard, I was willing to learn from them, I was willing to understand how we do things. I say I got lucky, but I worked hard, you know, I worked hard myself. And because of what my family had helped me with, that decent grounding that I got, I was able to progress to where I am today.
I'm gonna chime in. My name is Philip Sawyers, by the way, over half at Twin Saint Fitness. Same question for Tasha. Like you explained the upbringing that you had. As growing up in that way, as a black man, how do you perceive yourself as a black man growing up with the, I guess I wouldn't say benefits you have, but the lifestyle your parents gave you in comparison to most black males that may have grown up in a single parent home or kind of more deprived areas. How do you feel as a black man growing up like that in comparison? You know,
like, so I always say for me, I think there's times where, and we probably, I don't want to get into identity too much here because I know, you know, that's another conversation. But for me, how I felt with all of that is again, I was very lucky that I had parents that made sure I understood who I was. You get me? I understood where I came from, and that, I think that kept me quite grounded. Whereas there'd have been times where I maybe could have started feeling like an imposter, you know, in black communities and things like that, and feeling like maybe I wasn't too welcome because of what my parents did and how they helped me out, and they helped me understand who I was and being able to adjust to different situations and different people. I think that helped me. So I've always felt like a very proud black man. But for me, I've always looked at it like, you know what, I'm lucky, so I need to use my situation and the fact that I'm lucky to shed a light to people like who I'm working with who might not have had that or might have a certain perception of black people. So I'm always making sure I'm honing in and making sure that people understand, actually, yes, there's people who are lucky, but you need to understand where everybody's coming from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, I get that. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Yeah,
I was gonna say jealous of your upbringing, man.
It's always good to see like one generation help the next generation do better. So obviously that's the sort of end goal of life, to make sure that your next generation doesn't suffer the same mistakes that you do, innit?
That's it, exactly, because my mum and dad struggled, you know what I mean? They struggled, and because they struggled, because they did what they have to do, I was probably shielded from a lot of, you know, what other people would have seen, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So I ain't even introduced myself, just asking bare questions. But my name's Kieran. I run a street food business called Keys Kitchen. My work story is a bit complicated. So since the age of 16, I've worked a full-time job until 3 years ago. But I worked in every industry. Like my first job was a card factory. And then I whacked out the December shift for the Christmas period. And then after that, I became a waiter. I done waiting, like football grounds, rugby clubs, all of them things. And then after that, I became a security guard, worked security for like 3-4 years, doing festivals, events, all of that. And then after that, I got a job in a bank. I worked in banking for like 2-3 years. Not like anything tough, but like admin work. So like I've had different experiences in different sorts of works. And the main thing that I've saw from like black men in the work environment is that we kind of saw as like the labor force. So like we're like unskilled workers or the bottom level workers of the kind of working world. It's never like the best thing for me to say. There are some that do, you know, grow out of that and become managers, but I believe that's kind of where we're kind of based on what we're kind of seen as to be like the bottom level of workers. That was kind of my main reason of falling out of work. It's kind of where you feel like you have to work literally X amount harder, and if you make a mistake that if a next man makes the same mistake as you, you're in a worse of a situation for it. Do you get what I mean? So it's always like you're kind of firefighting in situations and trying to do things and do more than others, and yeah, it just didn't seem like a kind of level playing field. So yeah, I kind of branched off and started my own business, and it's doing decent. But yeah, that's my story.
What can I ask a question there? And like what's your, because you've got the experience, you know, of that entrepreneurship on one side, but also like working for the other people and that graft. How have you find it moving away from working for other people and going, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna work for me and make this work for me.
So I would say the best thing about me was the fact that I had went through all that rubbish before, because it builds your tolerance level so high. So like if you work in an environment where you kind of, I worked in an environment at once where, do you know when the Black Lives Matters protests were happening in Birmingham, where it was a laugh and joke, a man were taking jokes about me and all these things. So you build your tolerance level to a certain level that when you go to do for yourself now, you can kind of handle anything that anyone throws at you, and you're kind of more prepared for that.
Sorry to cut you. You know when you say someone was making a joke, what do you mean? What kind of jokes are people making? Like racist joke.
Yeah.
And where was that coming from? Work or just people, random people? Oh, serious. How did you handle that though? How did that even come about? Cool. Say that again, sorry.
That was one of the reasons I left that job.
Okay.
But obviously that was one of the more obvious racist things that have happened in the work, but there was loads of like little signs leading up to there that was the kind of environment I was in. Obviously, I don't know like how many industries you work in, but like there are some industries that are just there are no black people there. So like I worked in the steel industry for a while, and when I say there is no representation of black men in the steel industry, it is wild. So you'll kind of hear the more views that you wouldn't usually hear, if you get what I mean. So like, because you're more in that sort of environment.
I get what you mean. Yeah. Me and my brother, we got a sound engineer. We got a degree in sound engineering.
Okay.
When you actually look at events, things like that, or even some of the students that were there, you couldn't really identify with them. A lot of them was white, come from a different background, and even the way they speak or dress, or the kind of music they was into, couldn't really always relate to. You know, we're grown and you know how to communicate with different people. But I understand what you mean with the steel industry, where you can't really see that person that you can almost connect and resonate with.
There's no reference. There's no reference.
So then when you go to like a networking event or you go somewhere like that, and you walk in that room, I promise you, there's no, do you get what I mean? There's no like, they're looking at you like, who's this? There's no one. They are, yeah.
You want someone that needs to get this nod to and just, you want that kind of vibe.
Dan, what were you going to say something then?
Yeah, I was just going to chime in because my story is kind of similar to what Kevin was saying. Sorry, my name's Dan. I'm a freelance graphic designer, videographer / photographer, just all around creative kind of thing. My story was kind of, well, a part of my story was similar to what Kieran says. Over my years, I'm almost 40 actually, so since I was probably 14 onwards, I've had little jobs here and there and in different industries. I've worked in the printing industry, which was predominantly white male. So when Kieran was saying you're having to kind of build your tolerance to certain levels of discussions or certain things that they say, I'm a little small black guy in a place where there's a lot of middle-aged, varied-aged white men. So I'm listening to different kind of, you know what I'm talking about, that different kind of how they view also just what's normal to them, what's normal to them there.
Yes.
So having to deal with that, a little while later, I moved on and I was doing graphic design for the marketing department of Aston Uni. I was there for like maybe 11, almost 12 years, 11 years, let's call it that. And there was that kind of isolated feeling, even though I was working there. I'm again one of the only black faces in the whole place. So it's just kind of like I'm just going there, keep my head down, do my job, and blah blah blah. But I could feel that because I wasn't necessarily, sorry, I don't know if I'm going left here, but because I wasn't necessarily a part of the, you know, the community as such, I was made to kind of feel alone. No one didn't really want to extend, you know, as what you see them do to each other. And then fast forward, it came to redundancies and the rest. And I've been doing my job like good for the past however many years.
Yeah.
Came to redundancy, I noticed and I heard through the grapevine that I was like volunteered up as such, just simply because, you know, I didn't fit or I wasn't a part of the community or what I didn't necessarily make. You know what, I wasn't made to feel welcomed no matter how long I was there. So it wasn't really easy for me to kind of, assimilate. It wasn't really easy for me to really blend as such. So I got made redundant. After being made redundant, I've just been freelancing and just doing my own thing ever since then.
I think it's also like I think one of the things there is like what, how much of a part do you think like representation and that plays in all of this, like having representation in the workplace? Like, do you think that could have played, like your situations could have played out a little bit differently if maybe there was a black manager there that could have held your corner?
Most definitely. I mean, if there's like what? Sorry, go on.
Now carry on. You're halfway. Carry on.
I was just saying, if there was more people, like what you said, if there was more people that looked like me at a senior level, there would be people, someone who was relatable. I could have had that discussion, like, look, I don't feel kind of comfortable here, or to be awkward, or do you know what I mean? Or maybe if there was somebody higher up, that feeling that I had wouldn't have existed because maybe other policies or other things would have been in place to where I wouldn't have felt like that. You know what I mean? Just singled out, alienated as such.
You say this same question to Marvin as well. You already beat me.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. Yeah, in terms of representation, sorry, before I start, I'm Marvin. I'm a firefighter at the West Midlands Fire Service. For me, representation is quite a big thing because when I joined my job, there was nobody that kind of looked like me, and there was no kind of support, no kind of guidance, no kind of cultural understanding, realistically. So I kind of had to fumble my way through without kind of any backup, any kind of structure. And for me now, looking at it back then, I kind of use the word like unconscious bias. A lot of, say, for example, senior management across all jobs, across all ranges and across society, really, unless they understand who you are, they'll have a certain perception of you that's based on stereotypes, based on, you know, films they may have seen, TV shows and such. So I was almost having to battle the unconscious bias and my own kind of insecurities. So I think you pushed on it at the beginning, Tash, when you mentioned that you saw options from what your parents kind of laid in front of you. And yeah. I know a few of us never had like both parents in the home. So for me personally, I didn't really get the sense of many options out there growing up anyway, especially as a younger black man. My options I always felt was, I don't know, football or, I don't know, being a rapper or something like that. So my options weren't very varied. And that's not a knock on my own parents. That's just, you know, how society is. Sometimes we limit ourselves. And that's, I guess, what we're trying to do now is like show the younger generation that there is options. You can be a personal trainer, you can be a steel engineer, you can work for the council, you can work for whoever you want, you can work for yourself and be successful as well. But growing up, my options were just very, very limited. And that was just through lack of education, really.
You know, it's a real interesting point that you raised there as well, because I think we talk so much about representation being, you know, in the workplace, but actually that representation, it can come from anywhere. Like I had it in the home, I had it through people I knew. I think it's about like increasing representation across society as a whole, isn't it?
Yeah,
100%, man. Because you know what I see as well, especially with a lot of the younger youths now, into why they steer towards the you know, we'll call it road life, is because they see that reference pinpointed at them, and a lot of times on the TV.
That's what
as soon as they load up,
them,
it's marketed at them heavy. Instagram, the music. So I think if they can change the narrative and promote what we do, not specifically what we do, but other avenues, it will open people's minds, expose the minds a lot more. And there's also as well to encourage the young people to travel out of their, you know, 5-mile radius of their area, because you find that a lot of people that go down the wrong way just stay stuck in their area, and then they think that's all that exists in the world. But it's a big world out there to go and explore, and it opens your mind up as well. Go on, sorry.
Nah, you know what is a lot about this generation as well? It's a lot of instant gratification. So everybody just wants everything and they want it now. And with like social media, the way that people are living their lives, it makes people actually believe like they can wake up tomorrow, just do X, Y, and Z, and then become whatever they want to be in the long run. They don't understand that there's like a longer process to it, and that for actual success, there's like steps to it, if you know what I mean. So they just believe that the best way for me to make quick money is, so if you speak to a kid now and ask them what to do, a lot of kids are just throwing out crypto. And why people say they want to do crypto? Because it's something that's just been forced into their face as a way to get rich quick. And that's what this generation is. It's just like instant, if you know what I mean. Nothing doesn't take time. They just want it now.
Yeah, but I suppose that's why we just need to showcase what we do and to show how we're representing ourselves, just to change the narrative.
Yeah, 100%.
Crypto it is a positive thing, that knowing about crypto, because I feel like that's where definitely towards the future and stuff like that. So I think it is a good thing that they're knowing, and it's a legal thing as well, something that you can really learn and get your brain going. But I do feel as all of us as a whole just need to keep showcasing ourselves in a positive way, and through the social media platforms as well, so they can actually see. They might not have the direct link and access to us, but they can see it through a platform online or service like that. It will be a good look for them.
Just a question, Peter. Just a quick question. You said like the negative like representation of Black people is always pushed in the media and pushed in films and such. Do you think that's a purposely done kind of thing?
I definitely believe there's been a narrative. This is from probably years before he was even born, though. It's from years ago. It could go way hundreds of years ago back if you think about it. But I just feel like it's done in strategic ways now.
It's more subtle now, but the stereotypes it's just the stereotypes that are formula that we have now, and it is constantly, like what you're saying, to keep pushing a certain narrative for whatever the motives that they have. It's like degeneration. Obviously, if we just see us at that particular level, we only think that that's our ceiling. Like we will only aspire, we can only be that. You know what I mean? So Everybody feels. Go on,
Kind of
sorry.
have to blame ourselves for that one as well, though.
So
Because
you think we perpetuate it?
yeah, 100%. So, what is the biggest Netflix series that's come out of London? Top Boy. Are you
Top
being
Boy.
serious? Are you being serious?
It's true.
Top Boy. That's directed and created by who? Do you get what I mean? We are like I'm not saying that we've got loads of barriers, and then we're putting more barriers up.
It's true.
But I don't know though, because you could just, how I watch that, it's just entertainment though.
Yes, we watched it as entertainment. Top Boy was on Netflix to the whole world to watch and to form stereotypes off.
I'm gonna do this thing. Grand Theft Auto. I was about, when that first come out, man, it was primary.
All right, but who are the actors?
And then,
who are the actors in Grand Theft Auto and who are the actors in Top Boy? Top Boy is black, predominantly black actors.
from San
Do you get
Andreas,
what I mean?
that's why the original one. Everybody, I feel so anyway. But I feel like, although that had a lot of references and it kind of schooled you on certain things streetwise, it didn't make me think, yeah, man, I'm gonna go out and have a frenzy and start going and stupid with people. It lets you know, but if you know yourself, again, I think it's a personal thing, and I think everyone catches there at a different level. But it didn't make me I've got this game's violent, I'm gonna now act this out now. You still know right from wrong in it. So although these things are out there negative, you still have a choice, I believe.
I'm not saying Top Boy is going to make people be bad. I'm saying Top Boy is affecting people's opinions on young
stereotypes. I get it.
I get it. I hear this. I hear it.
You get what?
Yeah, if you
interact with those communities and now sitting down in the yard thinking, raw, this is what's going on every day.
Nah, yeah.
I hear what you say.
okay.
Looking and seeing little news articles, and that's just him. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to ask them. Go on, Peter.
I was gonna say to Kieran, what will be a good show that's a different equivalent?
So the show that I like, have you watched Blackish before?
Yeah, I've watched it. I've seen it.
Try to watch it. I don't think I will get into it though. I tried to watch it a little bit.
That's just a positive show about a black family, or like My Wife and Kids. Positive show about a black. Do you get what I mean? There's no shows like that.
A nice family, like nice family unit thing. All that. Yeah. No, I hear you. I want to. If I just carry on for that.
Basically, mean non-dysfunctional looking black people, basically.
Yeah. How many people kind of base their kind of what they would think a good father would be off what my mum was like off Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Do you get what I mean? You need positive affirmations in your life for you to be a better person. You're not always going to have that representation in your yard, but even just to see it on telly once and again. These used to confirming that that's a good way of life to live, or people don't need it confirming that that's actually what's going on in these neighborhoods.
I want to, if I circle around, I just want to ask them, the twins, something like, obviously, I think you two, with your fitness and all of that, I imagine there's like social media elements there. Like, how do you see yourselves as like being those kind of representatives for the community, like showing people what's possible in that?
So to be fair, sometimes because it's just what we do and what we enjoy to do, sometimes you don't really think about it. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. When we're going through the motion of doing it, and then someone may say, "Oh, you've done this for me," or "I see what you are doing in the community." Sometimes when you step back and have a look at it, you're like, "Raw, kind of have done something positive here." You know, like certain media outlets, we got an article written about us in the Birmingham Mail as well. So when you see it and we won an award and we've been nominated for another one too. So seeing those things, it kind of gives you that perspective of like, bro, we are kind of doing stuff, and it started from nothing as well. So I feel like we're doing a good job, especially for people that look like us. Because it's easy for someone to look at me or my brother, and it's kind of have a certain section of us without even finding out about us or knowing what we do. Could be, I don't know, but I don't think it's positive. I don't think most people think positive things just based on how we look. Especially outside.
I was just going to ask Pete. Sorry, Philip. How did you and your brother start? Because I never asked either of you that. Like, what made you start, and like, where was the journey? What was the beginning, kind of thing?
Let me finish Tasha's question. But you know what I'd say as well, the representation of what's what we do. Like, people forget that we're also human as well. Also, That's what I feel like. Just because we got a role as a personal trainers, we're also humans, we're also family men, we got kids and stuff like that. So there's many layers, there's many other layers to us as well. So that's what does get missed and screwed sometimes. I just think personal trainer, you like eat chicken and broccoli, drink 5 liters of water every day. You don't have no snack food, you don't swear, you know, we're humans that don't cuss out your kids if they're messing about. And you know what I mean? That's why I don't like that gets missed sometimes though. I just think you like this clean cut, you got it right, don't make no mistakes, and it's totally wrong. So yeah, that's
add on to that as well, we're not just personal trainers or fitness people. Like I said before, we got a degree in sound engineering, or something we were heavily into when we was younger. And then we were acting and things like that as well. So a lot of things we're actually good at, talented at, over aside from fitness. But fitness is something we grew up doing from a young age. Was always into, and it's turned into what it turned into.
Many layers, man. Sorry, Marvin. Say that question again. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to see your beginning story, really, like when you and your brother just like sat down and thought, like, we're gonna do this, and did you
know what?
Or did it just, like, come organically, or what?
Yeah, kind of. We've always, like I said, we've always been into it's music and fit sports. But I think with the fitness thing, kind of come out of frustration as well. As fast forwarding, when we finished uni, there was just nothing available. Thinking, oh, this is done all this studying and frustrating, man. Thinking, but what else is that we can do? And it's always from young, teenage years, so I'd love to open my own gym or just pull it in the air. We never think nothing of it though. Say, look at the gym like, yo, imagine if we had our own thing or blah, blah, blah. Then opportunity came around 2015 where we could hire out a venue. And then we just did a Facebook post. Say, yeah, we're going to put on this class on this day. And that was it, man. And then, but I ain't gonna lie, back then, in terms of what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but I posted up something on Facebook and I saw like 100 people liked it and it got big comments. I ain't gonna lie, it made me nervous because it made me think like 100 people are coming.
Yeah.
But but then on the first day when we actually did our class, only like 8 people and then half of them was family, which is one person in the room. So it just let me know as well. Just even really can trick your brain thinking just because a lot of people are liking your stuff or positively thinking, like, doesn't mean they're actually gonna come and support it as well. So that's what made me steer back and don't get lost in the sauce, basically. But yeah,
and as well, I think so. Sorry to interrupt, but that it ties in directly with what Kieran was saying earlier. In that everything's not instant, is it? You know, like it's taking you guys time to build that up to where you are. I'm an operations manager, but it's taken me 8 years to get here. Like you need to grind in it.
Yeah. I just chime in. Sorry, we're not finished.
Go on.
Like, carry on.
Go on then. Quick, go on then.
Nah, it was just to chime in about in regards to what do we consciously do as professionals to kind of change the perception. This is kind of going left, so I didn't want to interrupt. So if you hadn't finished what you were saying, it was just me chiming in. It's just like I also do poetry and spoken word. I didn't say that before, innit? And that's something like in terms of stereotype, us as black men most men don't do that because there's an element of expressing, especially feelings and that kind of realm. Do you know what I mean? So I do that and I speak on whether issues that are personal to myself or current issues and the rest. And I do that even in the face of probably ridicule or not being it's not cool in it. Like it's not considered cool in regards to, let's say, the younger generation who are into a more hype kind of energy. So that's kind of my way of kind of doing that, because I think like if I can do it, it will show probably anyone who's looking that we're not all, we don't all conform to the stereotype. We can do other things, we can express, we can speak. Do you know what I mean? So it's just that's just my 10 pence.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kieran, how did you start your cooking journey?
So my cooking journey started by me cooking mainly for my friends, really. So my friends used to come around and I used to like cook little things. And then, one day I just put it on my story on Snapchat. I said, yo, I'm in Dudley. Here's my address. If you want food, this is what I'm doing tomorrow. and like 3 people turned up after like 40 people told me they were going to come through.
That's what I'm saying.
So the next week I said, you know what? Pre-orders only, cash up front. And then 5 people turned up.
So
And
what
then
did you say? Sorry to cut you.
I built it up and up.
So you know when they said the 40 people was coming, so that means you cook for 40 people.
Buy for 40 people.
Oh, you prepared for them, but you
bought, prepped, ready. Obviously, I asked them to give me a half an hour notice when they're on their way. All day I was just staring at my phone waiting for these people to come through. All day. You know when you're just there waiting for the message, the fryer's boiling, everything's ready. Waiting. But then that's another lesson. Obviously, you can't always put faith into... You can't build a business around your friends. That's one thing I'm going to throw straight out there. It's all right for a start out. It's all right to do well. But for you to actually like grow and to be progressive, you need more than just your friends in and around you to support you. You need to actually have a plan, which was part of my issue. I kind of just thought, instantly I put food on and instantly I have like £400 worth of orders.
Kieran, what does entrepreneurship mean to you in comparison to when you was doing your 9-to-5 jobs and things like that?
Yeah. So the main thing about entrepreneurship to me is that I have freedom of what happens. Like tomorrow morning, nobody can wake up and tell me I'm done. No one can pressure me into doing things that make me feel uncomfortable. And I'm still able to prioritize my own life and what I need. And it allows me to actually build a plan for myself. So one of the issues I was having in the workplace is I couldn't build a 3, 4, 5 year plan because I knew I wasn't part of their 3, 4, 5 year plan.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just like either a stop fix or, like I said, like a bottom level. There was no progression plan for me. There was no, but that's partly my own fault because I should explain this. I didn't go uni. I didn't stay at college to finish my qualifications. I just only ever done the first year of college, then moved to a next college, done the first year of college, if you get what I mean. So like education-wise, I didn't really set myself up the best, even though I had a good start because like in school I done well, decent. So the best thing about entrepreneurship is sitting down and kind of getting yourself, having yourself as a backbone to build.
Yeah, and I hear that. Before I know we're getting a little bit closer to the end of this conversation, guys, but I just wanted to ask a question to anybody who has like worked for other people, and I think it's a simple one. Like, do you find it easy to be yourself in the workplace? Because like I think of it, like I think me talking to you guys here, completely different to how anybody on a work meeting would ever hear me talk. You know, it's all like, oh yeah, okay, then I'll get this business thing into you, but like it's a completely different thing. Like, how have you felt able to be yourselves in those workplaces?
Not at all.
Not at all, mate. I can answer that straight away in a short answer. Sorry to cut you there. Yeah, it's just when you're in a work situation, you're a totally different person. You almost subdue part of your personality, I think, especially as a black man. In a company that you know is predominantly white, especially, you definitely subdue a large part of your personality. You talk differently, you act differently, you don't really get the cultural references that they may go into the conversation, and you feel not like a spare part, but you feel different. If different's the right word, I don't know, but
definitely.
My experience. Oh, sorry. Go on, Tim.
Yeah, go on then.
Now, I was just saying, I'll keep it short and sweet. In my experience, I've always just felt like stranger, if I'm being honest. I felt like the little black guy that's just not supposed to be there, you know what I mean? And it's just, that's how I've felt. I've never really felt welcomed, and that's one of the reasons why I said I need to kind of work for myself, because I'm not trying to walk stiff, and I like how I talk. I'm not trying to have the white voice, so I'm not trying to do that. You know what I mean? So I thought I need to do this for myself. Sorry, I can't let you carry on, bro.
I think it ties into other things as well. I never forget when I was a bit younger. I was walking somewhere. I could have been walking home, and there was a white lady in front of me, and she clutched their bag a certain way, and then it almost made me position myself in a way that almost was non-threatening, and that's kind of how I approach sometimes work environments as well. Coming up with an extra smile on my face, or and coming at
less
talking in a
aggressive.
certain way that's not even me, but it's almost has to be me to the point where I'm conforming so much, just the way they perceive or were perceived.
I can think of a time when I can't remember who said I did call center stuff before. I think it was you, Tasha. But when I used to work at a call center, and you have to put on that weird old voice, man. I'm like, yo, imagine if my family or my friends could hear me talk right now.
For real.
You got the script in front of you. Good morning, you're free to Peter at such and such. How can I help? Oh my!
You sound just like I sound.
Phone these like could hear me now, stuff.
Trust me.
But you know what? Though, what I'll say though, the positives I'll take from that, it did boost my customer service skills. It did broaden my vocab. Like even now, like knowing the phonetic alphabet, you know, A for alpha, B for bro. You know, like when I'm on the phone, stuff like that, I can say, you know what, was a positive I could take from it. And look, I've different types of people from different areas who I still see around today, and they kind of help me in my network and stuff like that as well. So positives as well still, but it's not really my foothold where I wanted to be.
Yeah, like for me personally, like I said, like I've obviously I have to switch up the way that I am, switch up the way that I've been, but to be honest, that started from me from going to private school, because I couldn't even really talk there the same way that I talk with like my brethren when I was out and about. But even now, like I've been lucky enough to not feel like I've been isolated or a stranger or anything like that in the workplace. But even now in the meetings that I'm in, I've always got that in the back of my head that I need to make sure I'm not coming across being overly aggressive, or I'm not being too passionate and not being interpreted in the wrong way. So yeah, it's just interesting that across all of us we got that same experience.
You know the maddest thing when you say that though, have you ever been in an environment like that where you've seen another black person who is acting aggressive, and it makes you cringe, almost makes you cringe for them, because you're like, don't do that. They're gonna look at you like this, so tone it down. But it's mad that you say that, because that person is being himself, but you know that they can't be like that because they're gonna be seen this.
Yeah, it's a shame that we have to censor ourselves to do that. You know what I mean? It's a shame still. I've seen that before.
Okay, and I think we're probably coming towards the end now. So I think probably one decent thing, I think a good way to probably finish it would be to think, for each of us to think of any advice that we'd give to, you know, any young black man, whether that's that you're a teenager and you're starting to think about where you might go in the world, or you're a little bit older and you're starting your journey in the end of the world. Is there one piece of advice that you'd give to anybody starting out? Twins, I'm gonna start with you guys.
I'm gonna chime in on that. I would just say, just have a delayed gratification in mind. Don't think of have to everything is instant, man. Like when I was a younger teenager, I kind of wanted everything now, and not realizing the slow progress is nice. And then there's no rush in life, like to get it. Even me now in my 30s, I feel like I can enjoy and accept things a lot more than I would have had I just got it earlier and stuff like that. So I'd say just be like that, and be on whatever your true calling is. Just really go for it and just look at ways of how you can monetize it and take it as far as you can go. But I'd always say self-improvement, yourself, and the rest will come, man. I'm telling you.
Man. Yeah, man. For that. Philip, what about you?
Add on to that, and when they're trying to determine your career choices, think about what you're good at. Like, what things are you good at naturally? What burns that fire in you that says, yo, I want to do this. And then if you can figure that out, whether it be one or two things, write them down, write a list, and then kind of in that list as a heading, say, I don't know, let's say music for one. What are the categories that come into music? Think of where you fit into that. Can you make beats? Can you rap? Can you write? That's just a small example, but think about what you're good at, and then once you figure what that is, own in on that craft, keep going in it every day, research it, and from there, the fact that you've built that, things are just gonna magnify and attract to you that you couldn't even imagine. It's the same for us with our fitness thing. Certain things we've experienced, there's no way I could even imagine winning an award or being in the paper. but that's just from being on your purpose and doing something you actually enjoy and love to do.
Also, sorry to cut you. So also look at where the world's going as well. Like back in when we was younger to where it is now, and to where our younger teenagers are gonna be in the next 10 years. The industries are changing. It's a lot more technology. So I'd probably stem a lot of the young ones towards like, how would you say, like the coding or them kind of areas where you can have a substantial, great career doing that as well. Actually, had I gone back to school and stuff, I would be probably looking in that area. Very progressive.
Saying that, that's actually something I've been learning as well. I've been learning coding. So code is so broad, you can actually apply it to fitness as well.
Yeah, man. Keep it moving. Dan, what about you?
I couldn't have said it better than what Twins have said already, but just to reiterate, everything that they said is on point, but it's just the focus and don't give up on your calling, on your passion, but remain open as well. You know what I mean? Just remain open and awareness, keep your awareness about you. Be aware of what's going on around you. Ultimately, do what makes you happy, and if you can, like what Twin said, if you can monetize it, do that. Don't find yourself stuck in a dead career where you're just going to be chopping and changing. Like we've done that. You know what I mean? Just stay on purpose, basically.
Marvin, what about you?
Yeah, for me, the big thing is just keeping your options open, explore every avenue, even if you don't feel it's for you. It may be something that takes your interest. And similar to what Philip was saying, if you're passionate about something, then just go at it 100%. Just, create a plan, create, your own kind of little structure, your own little path that you're going to do, and just go for it. And just, don't limit yourself. That's what I'd say, keeping it short and sweet.
Yeah, cheers. Kieran, what about you?
Literally just the same as what everyone else is saying, but if you want to start a business, just go make that business plan and take the risk. There's nothing, you've got the rest of your life to kind of do anything else, but if you know what you want to do, make that plan and take the risk.
Yeah, that's it. I think my parting comment would be to anybody, like just know what are your values and try your best to stick to whatever your values are. And yes, you can work for a business and all of that, but if you do decide to go down a similar route to what I've done, make sure that any organization or anything like that you're working for, that they align with your values, because anywhere that does have those and they've got the same values as you, they care about their people and all of that, it's going to make your life a lot easier. And that'd be my one parting comment. It's been. What I was going to say there.
Just to go on what Kira said in terms of the risk, I would say as well, add to that calculated risk as well, though. They don't just be blasé with the risk. You know what I mean? Like if you got, a couple of grand in your bank account, don't put the whole thing in there and you think, yeah, man, I'm gonna double it up, and it don't happen. You know what I mean? Calculated risk. So that's where the plan comes into it as well, though, the business plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Salute, lads, man. Salute, man.
Yeah, man. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about all that, man. I'll see you all on the next conversation.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bless up everybody, man. Salute, man.
All right, bro.